In this video, we're going to show you 6 of our favorite exercises so that you can bulletproof your knees, prevent and eliminate injuries, and be able to do things like this.
Welcome back to our channel at Moves Method. Now, many people struggle with knee pain and injuries, especially as they start to get older, and we don't want you to be one of them.
The reason that people experience knee injuries is because they don't work on stability, mobility, or strength. So today we're going to show you our favorite exercises to help you with that.
Let's do it. First, we want to start by warming up the knees with low impact movements. So I like to get into a resting squat. If this is too hard, you can just elevate the heels of your back foot. You can use your hands on the floor as balance, and then you're just going to gradually bring your knees down to the ground. Now, as I do this, I'm not like thudding my knees down and putting my weight into the ground here. I'm just gently tapping the ground and coming back up. This is going to stretch and strengthen the supporting muscles of your knees, which are very important. So as you get comfortable with this, you can start to put less and less weight into your hands. So you see here how I got up into my fingertips. Then you want to think of reaching out long and far. Instead of bringing your knees directly down, think about bringing them as far away from you as you can. You'll actually feel a bit of a stretch through the hips as you do this as well. Now, as you get more comfortable, you can even completely remove your hands from the ground, like this. And even now, just from doing this, I can feel my knees starting to burn. Now, if I want to challenge myself even more, I can do both knees at the same time. So again, I don't want to be thudding my knees onto the ground. I want to be gently tapping the ground and coming back up. So I'm going to come onto my tiptoes here, knees to the ground and back up. To the ground and back up. Again, you can use your hands if you want. Forward, back, back. Then as you come down to the bottom here, think of thrusting your hip up. Try not to be too bent. Hip up and down. Up, almost like you're at the bottom of a sissy squat here. You want to think of doing this for about 30 seconds to a minute, 2 to 3 rounds. And like I said, your knees will be on fire already by the time you've done this.
So the next move that we're going to do is the modified sissy squat. Now there's going to be 2 parts to this movement. You can assist with something. So if you have a stick or if you have a pole, feel free to hold on to it until you kind of develop that strength, stability, and balance. What you're going to do is you're going to come onto the tips of your toes, and then you're going to think about driving the knees forward. So you see how I'm keeping my hips open, my glutes are squeezed, and I'm thinking of driving my knees forward as I'm pushing my torso back. And then I want to reach something. So whether that's my calf, whether that's the top of my shoe, whether that's my heel. Touch, and then come back up. And when I'm coming back up, I always think about pushing the hips up instead of bring the hips back. So you want it to be forward, touch, forward and up. And then you would change sides. So tippy toes, driving the knees forward, touching and pushing up, coming back. And then you switch from one side to the other. When you feel comfortable, you can let go of that support, and then you would have to require more balance on the tips of your toes, coming down slowly, touching, and then coming back up to standing. And this is your side bend sissy squat. I love this variation for beginners because it doesn't require too much range of motion, but it still trains the hips and the knees really, really well. So I would do this 10 reps each side, working nice and slowly, taking your time, trying to get lower and lower on each rep. So now, once you get comfortable with the sissy side bends, what you're going to do is sissy rolls into a squat. Same concept applies. I go onto my tippy toes, I drive the hips forward. I'm going to go down as slow as I possibly can until my knees almost touch the ground. And then I'm going to slowly roll back into a squat. Stand up. Tippy toes. Drive the knees forward. Keep the hips open. Glutes are squeezed. I'm lowering. I'm touching here. Rolling back into a squat. I love this. It's almost like a self-massage of the joints. So I'm thinking about slowing it down. This is the important part. You don't want to rush this. Think about driving your knees forward, roll back into a squat, and stand up. I would also do this 2 to 3 sets, 10 reps, working the 10 rep range, and I would always try to pause in that last repetition and hold. Work your way to being able to hold 10 seconds. Roll back with comfort and stand up. That's your modified sissy squats.
Now we're gonna start building some strength around the knees. More specifically the VMO, which is this teardrop muscle here. Super important for protecting your knees. So we're gonna do 1 and 1/4 squats, and we're gonna do them with our heels on the elevated surface. So I'm gonna use these slant boards here. If you don't have slant boards, you can use just anything to elevate the heel of your foot. 2 plates is fine. What I'm gonna do, find my balance, knees are gonna drive forward. Okay, you're trying to avoid them coming out. Knees drive forward. I'm gonna come down, putting the weight into the heel of my foot, all the way down as deep as I can go, okay? And then I'm gonna come up just 1/4 of the way up, down, up. Now why do we do this? Well, when we get to the bottom, just coming up this quarter is gonna put a lot of pressure around the knees, and it's gonna allow you to build a strength. This is where the strength is built. Back down and up, okay? So 1/4, up, 1/4, up. Now, if you find this too hard at first, or you're not too confident in doing this just yet, you can find something to support yourself with. So I can use a stick, since I don't have a wall. You can use a wall, a bench, whatever. The goal here, the idea here, is you just want something to put your weight into, to take weight off your knees. So as I come down, just by putting some weight onto my hands here, and driving down in the stick, I'm taking some pressure off my knees. Okay, so I can do this as I start to build confidence. If I haven't done much work with my knees before, or perhaps I'm a beginner who doesn't have much strength here. And then for those of you who do have more strength and you want to challenge yourself or progressively overload the movement a little bit, I like to add load. So with exercises like this, we like to work in 10 to 12 reps, 3 sets, 10 to 12. And you want to find a weight that's suitable for you, that's going to challenge you for those reps. So I'm going to hold this weight here. Dumbbells is fine, doesn't matter. I'm just going to hold this tight to my chest. Again, down, knees drive forward, weight goes into the heel of my foot, up 1/4, down, up. If you're doing this properly, this should burn your VMO. Honestly, when you've done 3 sets of this, your knees will feel invincible. And that is your 1 1/4 squat, heels elevated.
The next exercise, one of my favorites, it is the Poliquin step up. Now what you want to do is you want to find yourself an elevation. This can be something like a slant, or what you can do is get 2 yoga blocks, put a dumbbell on top of the yoga blocks, and then put your heel on top of the dumbbell. The most important thing is that your heel needs to be elevated. And the step should not be too high. We want to be challenging this kind of bottom range of motion throughout the knee here. So you don't want to be going too deep, because then you defeat the purpose of the exercise. And again, we are strengthening the VMO here, one of the best exercises to do that. What you want to do is you want to make sure that the heel of the top leg is in line with the toe of the bottom leg. So don't go forward, go more so in line with the toes of the working leg. And you're just going to go up and down. We like to work in the 20 to 25 rep range, and really finding that balance, finding that dynamic movement, just going up and down. This burns that little muscle, the VMO, the teardrop muscle around the knee, and it's really, really good for healing knee injuries and preventing injuries. So that's your Poliquin step up. Now, when you've mastered that, we would move into something called a skater squat, which looks something like this. Again, you're hinging in your hips, you're lowering down, and you're thinking about placing your shin on the floor and then driving up. So there's no really push off with this kind of floating leg. It just lightly touches the ground and then drives up. This really targets the knee, but it also stabilizes the hip. So a lot of knee injuries happen when the hip is not stable. And by training this exercise, you develop that hip stability, balance, ankle stability as well. And most importantly, you're strengthening the knee. We like to work this exercise in the 8 to 10 rep range. And if you're finding it too difficult at the moment, what you can do is place an elevation behind you and then just drop to the height of the elevation. And then over time, you would reduce that until you can eventually get your shin to the floor. This will lead you towards a pistol squat and further things. So that's your Pollock and step up and then your skater squat.
Next, we're gonna go for the reverse Nordic. Now this is gonna stretch and strengthen all of the ligaments around the knee. So we're gonna start in this kneeling position. My toes are gonna be driving into the ground like this. I wanna be up, hips forward. Okay, I'm gonna squeeze my glutes. Okay, I'm gonna try not to bend at the hips too much. Ideally, I wanna be like this. I'm gonna come back just really, really slowly. I'm gonna start to feel it burn through my quads. Okay, let's just say I can come here. I'm gonna drive my hips. My hips lead the movement. Okay, so as I come down, I don't wanna bring my shoulders up first because you see how now this is creating this bend. I'm gonna come down slow, drive the hips forward, and the shoulders will follow. Okay, I'm gonna come back here. I'm gonna gradually try and get lower and lower. And repeat. Now, there are several ways you can modify this if it's too difficult or you don't yet feel comfortable doing this. One way, which is my favorite way if I'm able to, is I grab a resistance band, I attach it to a pole or something of solid structure in front of me, and I can just pull it back, and then it's just gonna give me that assistance in pulling myself back up. So it's giving myself a little spot. I can also hold on to something, could be a dumbbell or anything. And as I come down, I can just put some weight into this, again, to assist me and take some load off the knees. Now this is strength, okay? I'm not resting, I'm not passive at the bottom. This whole time, even when I'm at the bottom, I'm feeling the sensation of picking myself back up, okay? Just only enough to allow me to maintain this. Come back up. On the last rep, we wanna hold at the bottom for 10 seconds. This is where the strength is built. So come back and hold. Okay, do your 10 seconds, come back up. If you are using something to assist you, whether it's the band or having something beside you, aim to gradually put less and less weight into that and more weight into your knees as a way of progressively overloading. And then as you feel comfortable, you can even hold very lightweight, 2.5 kilos, 5 kilos, and build up to 10, 15 kilos. And that is your reverse Nordic. And Vanya has a challenge for you that she insists on filming.
So what we like to do is we like to utilize bounces. Now, bounces like this will strengthen the ligaments around your joints, and most people would think that this is dangerous and you shouldn't bounce, but we disagree. We think that you should condition yourself in training so you can be resilient and prevent injuries in sport and life, okay? Right?
Right.
So now, another thing that we want to leave you with is passive squatting. This is one of the best things that you can implement into your daily life. It requires no time and no space, and most people struggle to squat flat feet. Doing this alone for accumulated time throughout the day will strengthen your knees, your ankles, your hips, and it's going to help you move better.
And when it comes to training, make sure to implement some of the strength-based movements that we've shown you today, because they'll make the world of difference and they will make your knees feel invincible. Check out some of our other videos where we go into front split strength, middle split strength, and we've got plenty more coming out soon as well. Let us know in the comments if there's anything in particular you want to see, but for now,
leave you with that.